Okay. Hey, everybody. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Well, baby, and thanks. Kind of hanging in there. I had a real busy last couple days. I have one of the MBA level classes that I'm teaching. Was a 7 week course this term, so it just ended. I'm right in the middle of final exams, so I'm and I have like 55 students in that class. It's just ridiculous. So I've been like slaving over grading final exams for the last day or two, and I got to get back to it as soon as we're done here. So that's kind of where I'm at. Never a dull moment. How you doing, Aaron? How's things?
Hanging in there, just super busy. It's been a really busy couple of weeks just with work and school and all that. So,
Well, we're kind of getting ready to enter the home stretch here too. I mean, we're what just just entering week 8, so another couple of weeks, and you guys will be done here too. So maybe you'll be able to breathe a little easier. And I know everybody here that's on the call so far is also in my 470 class. So I mean, you guys you guys got a lot going on now too. I can understand. Hey Dylan, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm well, thanks. You just mentioned I'm a little on the busy side, but I mean that's always preferable to the alternative. When you're
Yeah.
either either not able to do anything or not in a position to do anything, or you don't have anything to do for any kind of fun. I mean, I'm enjoying myself with this stuff. So yeah, it's all well and good with me, pretty much. Also, I'm a big Chicago Blackhawks fan. I'm a hockey ex-hockey player and big Hawks fan, and they recently won the rights to the number one draft choice. So I don't
There
know
you
if
go.
anybody follows hockey, but this kid coming out of the juniors named Connor Bedard is supposed to be the next generational talent. He's going to be like as good as Sidney Crosby or Connor McDavid or any of these other guys, supposedly. So the Hawks will have a chance to draft him. So I'm kind of happy. I'm looking forward to the draft in June, and then see who else they're able to get. But yeah, they're
Nice.
in a rebuilding mode, so I mean it's been kind of tough watching them the last couple of years.
Yeah.
But anyway, okay, well, we're a few minutes into it, so let's just get started. I wanted to go through just the homework real quick because I don't really have anything better to do with you guys. Not yet, anyway. I mean, on Wednesday we can talk about the week 8 material, and if you have any questions on the assignment that's coming up. But for now, I just wanted to go through the week 7 stuff. I'm happy to report that all of you did really well on this. I mean, there were only minor partial deductions for any answers that came in on this. So, maybe we're killing beating a dead horse here. But I do want to go through it because WAC is such a key element, and it will be, featured in the next case study you do. So it's important that you guys are really comfortable with this. Anyway, let's just go through the answers real quick. This meeting will probably take about 15 minutes, if even that. So let's get started. So I just whipped up the answers here real quick, and I got them on the screen. I can go back to the original, but the whole idea was for you to look at these different projects that Gondor Limited has apparently got available to them, and you're given a level of risk, and then the level of risk associates to a WAC, okay, weighted average cost of capital, and then you are provided with an estimate of the IRR for each of the projects. So obviously, if you end up with an IRR on a project that is well above, or anything above the weighted average cost of capital, which is, pretty much what you're going to be using as your discount rate, and cost of capital for the company. If you end up with an IRR that's over and above the WACC, then it's going to be an acceptable project, right? Make sense?
Yep.
Cool. Okay, so anyway, when you layer all those in, the only thing here was really just to make sure that you picked up the right rate of return for the level of risk that was associated with a different project. I mean, once you got that, then you could just slap it up against um, the IRR, and you should be able to just determine very quickly, you know, if the IRR is going to exceed the WACC or not. But once you do that and go through the process, you'll see that A um, project A is going to exceed WACC with their IRR. D is going to also, okay, as are E, F, and G. So right down the line, the only ones that aren't in there are B and C. B and C, the IRR does not beat the required return, so you reject. But yeah, so I just kind of rejigged the little table there so you could see, very quickly, going from A down to G. You know, A is an accept, B and C are rejects. And coming back to D, E, F, and G, those are all acceptable projects. So that makes sense, everybody. Everybody good with that? Okay, I don't hear any negatives, so good. Let's just move on. I think that one was fairly easy. This one got a little more involved, just for the simple fact that you had to look at a number of different possibilities here on this surfing safari. Okay, they're an outdoor adventure company. They've got an equity and a cost of equity. They've got a preferred stock element, and they've got a debt element. And really, you just have to figure out, okay, well, you know, uh, what's the adjusted WACC if the tax rate is, going from 35, then to 30, then to 20, then to 10, and then to zero. So if you stop and think about that, the only thing that's really going to be impacted by those is the debt element, right? And I guess I chose this problem. I can't remember if I think I chose this problem out of the text, and then I just kind of renamed it the Surf and Safari business. Um, but yeah, it came right out of the Brooks text, if I'm not mistaken. But the reason I did select it was because I like the idea of, focusing on the tax element that impacts the debt component of weighted average cost of capital, right? So you've got, your cost of debt, right, is going to be one minus it's going to be one minus the tax rate times that the cost of debt, right? Because it has to flow through the income statement, because interest expense flows through the income statement. So that's basically why the tax rate impacts debt and not the other components of WACC. Okay. But, as you go through these, I think everybody got every single one of these right. So you're all great mathematicians and you all obviously understood the formula very well. But yeah, going through those real quick, we had uh, a WACC of 13.82% for A. It rose into 14.14%. Then it rose to 14.8. You can see that the WACCs are getting larger as the tax rate diminishes, which makes sense, right? Because the debt component is one minus the tax rate, right? So as the tax rate it's lower, then it's one minus a lower number constantly. So that makes sense then that the WACC would be growing as the tax rate dropped. But anyway, continuing on here, D's up to 15.4. E is 16% on the I think the last one was what was it, a zero? Yeah, a 0% tax rate. If there weren't there weren't any tax implications. So does that make sense? You guys all seem to get that correct and didn't have any difficulties. So, just don't hesitate to stop me if I'm just glossing over this stuff too quickly. But yeah, everybody got it, I think. But yeah, it is once again, it is important to understand that the tax rate will impact, I should say, the debt component, right, of WAC. Okay, so let's flip up here to number 3. Ghost Riders is a company that has a project for the company portfolio. And then I just give different pieces of the WAC formula here that you're going to have to apply to get the project's beta, actually. So instead of solving for the WAC percentage, this time you're given a WAC percentage, and you have to understand how to jig it around in an algebraic fashion to come up with a project beta. So then moving down here to where the answer is, we've got the 13% is the WAC, right? Equals the risk-free rate plus beta times the market rate minus the risk-free rate. So, plugging that into the formula, you get 13% equals 4% plus beta times 6%, which is the 10 minus the 4. And continuing on with the algebra, you get 9% then to remove the 4% from both sides of the equation. 9% equals beta times 6%. Then if you divide 9% by 6%, you get 1.5. And I'm happy to report that everybody got that one right too. So you guys are all right on top of this stuff, which I'm glad to see. So everybody good with that for sure? No problems at all? Awesome. Okay, moving ahead here. We got High Low is a company, and they're expanding their business, and they're going to sell common stock for some needed funds. So they're going to raise funds through an equity offering. So if the current risk-free rate is 4% and the expected market return is 12, you got to figure out what the cost of equity is by, once again, using the WAC formula. And if you go ahead and do that, you're going to see that, you got an expected rate of, percentage equals 4 plus 0.75, which is, the risk-free rate plus the beta times the expected market return, once again, minus the risk-free rate, the WAC formula. So for A, which I guess is, I'm trying to get back up here, at a 10% return, a market return, right? You got different possible market returns here that you got to slot into the formula. But, when you do each of those, you end up with these different rates, which in this case are getting down to where are we here? Yeah, we get an expected market return of 10 here for A. Using the formula for the different variables for B, you get 11.2 is a market return. The market return under C is 12.4, and for D it's 13.6. So obviously, you're just once again using the WAC formula, and in this case, you're finding the expected market return component. So it's really just a variation of the WAC formula to solve for a different variable within that formula. Okay. And then for the very last question I threw at you guys, I got a company called Shelby Stone. They have a 3 million market value in equity and a 2 million component of debt. So their WAC is only made up of 2 components, right? Equity, which is their retained earnings, right? Um, and their debt. Okay. And the tax rate in this case is 21%. So that's going to impact the debt component. Its cost of equity is 9%, and its cost of debt is 6%. So what's the whack? So going down to the formula here, we know that whack is going to be the E divided by the VX times RE, which are the equity times the value times the return component on equity or the rate on equity. The same then plus the division piece, which is the debt piece rather, divided by V or the value times RD, which is the return or the rate on debt. Okay. Then times one minus the tax rate. And all of you did wonderfully on this one too. So plugging those numbers into that formula, you got the $3 million of equity divided by the five, which is the total um, total capital structure, which is the equity plus the debt. So 3 plus 2 is the 5 million. So 3 divided by 5 is going to give you the weight of the equity component, and that's times the 9%, right? Which was the cost of equity, and then plus the weight of debt, which is 2 million divided by the total of 5, um, times the the cost of debt, which is the 6% rate, times one minus the tax rate, which was given as 21%. So working through all that, you end up with 7.3% as your WAC. And once again, all of you got that right. So I I'm happy that you're all right on top of WAC because it is an important component of studying corporate finance. And the important thing to know is that once you just determine your WAC, based on the different components of financing that your company is using or the company you're analyzing is using, then you can understand what basis they're going to be using um, in the valuation of their capital projects when it comes time to choose a discount rate um, for their hurdle rate, I should say. If they're using internal rate of return as a means of valuing projects, then you'll have that WAC rate, you'll have that hurdle rate that any project's internal rate of return should exceed in order for them to go ahead and accept that project and continue with that project and you know consider it rather than just discarding it. If the internal rates of return do not equal the weighted average cost of capital, which is once again often used as your discount rate, then you're not gonna want to choose that. And obviously, then if you use a net present value method, if you discount future cash flows um, at a WAC rate that turns out to be less than the required rate of return, then you're going to have, well, I should say, if a WAC rate is that you're using as your discount rate exceeds, right, a required or a rate, an internal rate of return. I'm really having trouble today talking. But anyway, if it exceeds that, then obviously your internal rate of return isn't high enough, and you'd reject that project for the same reason. So more times than not, your internal rate of return and your net present value rules. A net present value being positive or an internal rate of return exceeding a discount rate or a WAC rate are going to be usually more times than not are going to coincide. You're going to get the same answer. Not always though. So sometimes sometimes the data can be such that it might trip you up, and then you have to evaluate based on one or the other the project based on one or the other of the possibilities, or use a couple other methods to supplement the net present value or the internal rate of return um, calculations that you are using. But yeah, that's why WAC is important, and it really is a crucial component of project and corporate finance. But yeah, that's really pretty much all I got today, guys. I don't really have anything else. Um, Everything going okay with everybody? Everybody good?
Yep. Just trying to get through the home stretch.
Yeah, good. Okay. Oh, hi, Nina. Okay, I'm glad you were able to join us. Were you able to hear everything? Did you get with us in
Uh,
time?
yeah, I was only a few minutes late, sorry, because I had a meeting earlier.
That's okay. Um, yeah, I basically just went through the homework, basically problem by problem. And, if you do have any questions, speak up now or shoot me an email later if you want. But as I recall, you did very well on this homework for week 7 that I'm going through as well. Everybody did. So, like I said, I'm very gratified that you're comfortable with the idea of WAC because it is important. So, okay, well, I'm gonna turn everybody loose because I got to get back to my.
I got one more question.
Oh yeah, no, please go ahead. I'm sorry.
Is there gonna be a case study this week? Because I don't see anything on Moodle right now.
For this course or the other course?
This one.
Oh, for this one, there should be. If we're into week 8, I believe there's a week 8 homework. Let me just make
It's
sure.
it's on the top of the Moodle page, like all the way up to the top. Somewhere it says case study 8 or week 8 case study.
Okay,
Right,
I
right
didn't
here.
look there. Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah.
just hang on. Yeah, I just want to make sure that we're all that I got this. If it's way at the top of the Moodle page, I'm not sure that's where I'd want to see it. I'd want it under week 8 where it would typically belong. I don't want you guys to have to look around for it. So let me just if I go to Moodle here, let me just go to our course and make sure it's I'll just verify what Fabian's saying here. Okay. Right now I'm looking at week 4, week 7. Oh, yep. Thank you. I was week 8 we should have Taylor brands, right? I still have that hidden. I should open that up, right? Because we're now in a week 8. So thanks for bringing that to my attention, Nina. I will make sure to unhide um week 8, basically, which is what I don't want anyone to see these cases too early. I don't want to have, you guys working on them prematurely. But then I got to remind myself to make sure I do open them up so everybody can see them. So yeah, so it looks like we got the Taylor brand study. The information on it is at the top, as Fabian suggested, but then the assignment itself is down in week 8, but it's hidden so you guys can't see it. So I'll open that up as soon as we're done here, and you guys can carry on and work on that because I think that's the only real assignment that you guys got in week 8. Let me just read, other than the reading, I want you guys to read chapters 14 and 15 of Brooks and 12 and 13 of Cone, okay? Because those kind of go along with WAC and also what you guys will be doing on Taylor Brands. So I'll open up Taylor Brands as soon as we're done, and then you guys will be able to see the assignment in the case, and we can talk about that. We can talk about that next week. Any questions that you might have, and maybe I could even come up with some a similar case with different numbers and different, assumptions and things like that. So I'm not giving it away too badly, but that you could parallel when you're, when you start working on Taylor. Okay, so that'll be our third case of the term. Then in week 9 we'll have what do we got in week 9? It looks like our final exam is going to be in week 9, which is a week earlier than I normally have it, and that's because in week 10 we have our final case on the Great Plains Cereal Company case. So that's how we're going to shake it out the rest of the term. But yeah, this week we'll be working on Taylor Brands, and we can talk about the nature of that case on Wednesday. Okay. So thanks again for that question, David. Okay, guys, I'm going to let everybody go. Have a great day or two, and we'll see you on Wednesday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you later
Thanks,
today.
everybody. Okay, have a good one. Bye-bye.
See you.